Right, let's have a quick look at this house from here. I am standing in the road because the council's got to put a pavement this side of the road. So that's what we're looking at. Let's just go across to this side. Right, well, I don't know how old this house is exactly, but it's probably late Victorian, possibly even early Edwardian. And what we do know about stone houses of this age is that they were built typically without damp-proof courses. However, I think this one does have a damp-proof course. Let's go and have a look around the side. Here is the end of the terrace of houses, so it's not my house, or not the house I'm surveying, but down the bottom we can see a good effort at a damp-proof course there. And here, towards the back of the house, it's been buried by the tarmac drive, but that's the only clue I've got that it does have a damp-proof course. And of course, if the damp-proof course is buried and you can't see it, then you don't know it's there, do you? Let's go back round the front here, and I think there's another little clue if we go next door, which is there. This is next door, which is stepped up ever so slightly. So there's a damp-proof course. So there would be a sort of a place for moisture to bridge between the upper and lower damp-proof courses anyway. But otherwise, what I do know, because I've measured it, is that the ground outside the house, especially where this window is exactly at floor height, which begs the question, what is this supposed subfloor ventilation doing? Because that is above the level of the floor. So has someone very diligently built a sort of periscopic tunnel down and under the floor or not? Well, we don't know, but let's go and have a look around the back of the house. All the way across the front here we've got a damp-proof course underground. I mean, there's a clue, isn't it? There's the ground outside, there's the floor inside, and even from that view you can see that they're more or less at the same level. This house needs comprehensive refurbishment, but we won't worry about that. We'll just talk about dampness and timber decay. Right, that's me walking around the back garden. Let's have a look at the back of the house. There it is. So what we could have said about the front is that it's obviously natural stone walls, and they're 400 and 500 millimetres deep, so they're quite substantial. But the back of the house, the back of the terrace of houses, and indeed even those over there, they've all been finished in what is probably a cement render. An improvement from the mid-1950s. The old lady next door said she moved in 1957 and it was already rendered by then. Right. So there it is, a rather hard, unforgiving looking render, which will trap moisture inside the wall. A masonry paint finish, which will trap moisture inside the wall. And last but not least, we've got a cement screed here, which is quite clearly well above the floor, so you'll be encouraging lateral penetrating dampness there as well. And lastly, down here, that would have been where the subfloor ventilation would have been fitted, but I mean, we must have, half a metre, is that an exaggeration? Anyway, that's probably an exaggeration, but a whole bunch of concrete piled up over what used to be ground level. And I know this is an outbuilding, but here you can see the ground outside the house is at floor level. So what you really want with a damp-proof course is for the damp-proof course to be incorporated below floor level, and then the ground to be a good 6 inches below the damp-proof course. Then moisture will be interrupted by the damp-proof course and can evaporate out of the wall below it. Right, and I completely forgot to talk about gutters. Well, at the front of the house I was going to point out that the roof covering's very mossy and the gutters are full of moss, which will make them spill rainwater. Let's go and do it properly, shall we? here we can see there's been chopping and changing, well, maintenance I suppose. So you've got black gutter there, white gutter there. You can see a little plant growing in that one, can you? Right at the left side end. And we've got a cast iron downpipe which all looks a bit rusty. So the question is, are those leaking? I mean, they don't look too bad here. Let's go back around the front. Well, it's been raining a lot recently, but it's not raining now. But what we can see is the wall there, especially over that hood over the front door. It's very black, as if rainwater's been spilling onto it, and you've got a load of mouldy growth on it there because it's perpetually wet. Not so much of a big deal this side, but I think you know, that suggests we're going to have a damp penetration problem at first floor level as well. So here's the front wall, ground floor level. The ground is above or at floor level, but somebody has dry lined the walls, so there's a little bit of a barrier to moisture getting through. What you would expect with high ground levels and a buried damp proof course is rot to the skirting boards, and those look fine. And you'd also expect rot to floor joist ends and a potentially bouncy floor, whereas this floor seems quite firm. Now, we do know that somebody's put a new air brick in there, so it is possible that the floor's been repaired. We cannot see the floor. Not the floor joist anyway, and not much of the floorboards. There's a little bit of discoloration, but you could put that down to all sorts of other things like condensation, for example. And if I stick my damp meter in there, it does get a little bit excited here and there. Not everywhere, but nothing really to get very excited about, and no clear patterns. However, at the back of the house we saw the ground was way above floor level, and then we've got a completely different story. There you go, the ground's up there, the floor's down there, the paper's peeling off the wall there, you've got blistered plaster, I don't know what that is in there. Round the corner, can we see that? I mean, you don't need to stick a damp meter in there to know what's happening. You've got loose plaster, blistered plaster, efflorescence, mould, the whole works. So we do have a very wet wall, and if you look up there, it seems to be a bit blistered all the way up. So I think we've got an attack by dampness from the ground, lateral penetrating dampness going straight through the wall above the damp proof course, and leaking from gutters, and an incapacity for moisture to evaporate back out of the wall because it's trapped in by render and paint. Once again though, these do not appear to be particularly rotten, but I bet the reverse side of these is disintegrating, and it's only a matter of time before it shows up quite clearly on the inside of the house. Once again, we've got a level floor. That's me stamping. No give in the floor, so that seems very firm, but I think also it is only a matter of time before it starts decaying. So the first and most obvious thing to do is to get some kind of Kango gun and smash up all that concrete and cart it away, so we can get the surface of the ground outside the house down a good 6 inches below the surface of the floor inside the house. Here's the understair void, a curious little space because it looks like the builder never got around to building a floor of any sort under here. It's just the ground, and it does feel fairly dry, but you can see this partition at the back. Can I put that down, Sam? Just there, is that going to stand up? What you can see is the bottom of the staircase here. Some very rotten timber indeed, look at that. Can you see that? I don't know what the camera's focusing on, I'm holding it away from my face. But that's very rotten, isn't it? So this is what happens to timber when it comes into contact with damp surfaces. It's just, it's focusing on that, I don't know. Look, it's powdery now, so that's had it. So that might be happening to floors and skirting boards out of sight. Pudsey Bear. So although we have identified that there is decay to the bottom of the staircase, on the face of it they feel very, very firm and secure. This is confusing. We've got, I should have shown you that outside. There's an air brick in the bay wall at the front of the house. Presumably it's a sort of groovy early 20th century improvement to ventilate the bedroom, but it's basically going to make it cold, isn't it? Yeah, right, the back of the house. This is our rendered back wall at first floor level, and we can see lots of discoloration. Did I say lots of discoloration? And you stick your damp meter in there, it does go a bit bananas. And up here we've got lots of moisture coming through the wall there, causing plaster and paint finishes to blister. And there is a downpipe on the wall there which may have been blocked at some point and spilled rainwater instead of taking it into the drain. So there, I think our main problem there is probably leaky gutters combined with a tendency for the render on the back of the house to trap any penetrating dampness in the wall. And now we're at first floor level, second floor level, I beg your pardon. I don't know whether I've explained yet, but I will do in a little while, but the front roof slope has been re-roofed, so I guess there was a problem with roof leaking, so we've got a bit of staining there. Not much obvious problem there, but around this dormer, lots of staining. Now hopefully, although the old damp meter goes nuts again when you stick it in there, hopefully that's all historic. So that staining will include hygroscopic salts. There's a couple of pinpricks, my damp meter, and they'll be sucking moisture back into the plaster from the atmosphere. So hopefully it's an X problem really, but these dormers anyway look a bit decrepit, so they might be leaking all by themselves. There's another one round the back. A roof space I can't really climb in. We've got a roof ridge up there, and that's the way the house was finished. It's torched, so you can see the occasional thicker timbers are the battens that the tiles are hanging from, and all the little ones are laths and plaster's then pushed in between the laths, so it's a sort of underlay from the old days. That's the neighbour's house, that's the neighbour's stuff, so there's no party wall. And if I can manage to turn around, we can see that there's a air permeable underlay this side, so they've re-roofed the front roof slope only. There is a party wall that side, I'm not sure we're focusing on it, but anyway you can see it's a brick party wall. I mean it's actually almost certainly entirely chimney breast, but that's what that is. Right, see if I can get out. That's what I just got out of, and my wife bought me a lovely new coat for my birthday, and now it's filthy. Anyway, I think that's it really. So, am I going to be brave enough to suggest my vendor, my purchaser, my client, you know the person I'm talking about, hacks all the render off the back of the house to see what they can find? Well, I think if you get rid of the render, all that moisture can start to evaporate out. Polystyrene tiles, they're not a good idea, are they? Anyway, that's enough about this place, I think.